Hello, my name's Keith Haswell. I'm a professional astrologer, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this video on the power of forgiveness. And we're looking at forgiveness here on this, and as you've progressed through your various incarnations, you've become more intelligent, you've become more loving, and you've become more aware and more sensitive, more compassionate, and more understanding, more knowledgeable, and you've got higher mental capabilities and the beginnings or well-developed abstract mind and intuitional capabilities as well. But that takes hundreds of lifetimes to get to where you've gotten now. So that's where you're out there in life having experiences with people, and these experiences sometimes are experiences that you are not very proud of, this is parts that you regard as the ugly side of yourself, the parts that nobody else knows about. And so you've got this innate aspect of yourself that is feeling as if you're ashamed of yourself, or you're full of guilt or shame or fear or anxiety, and because of these things that have happened in your past. And so what we all have to learn to do is to forgive ourselves, and forgiveness comes in 4 stages. The first thing is to recognize that you've had impact, because you're out there in relationships. You're in relationships with people that you work with, and neighbours and relatives, and those that habitate with you in the home, and parents and children and lovers and workmates and intimates like spouse and marriage partner, and business activities and interests there. You are going through a massive stage of growth because of your intelligence. So the first thing that you've got to do is to recognize that there is a problem, to recognize that you've had impact of a negative nature, and to work it through the houses of the horoscope. And you're saying things and having impact that you're not proud of, and that you feel uncomfortable about. So you identify these things, and this is all something that needs to be forgiven. But as soon as you identify it and recognize it, then you can move to the second step of forgiveness. Second step is to acknowledge that you had this impact. Now, you don't have to go back to the person who you had the negative impact with, to that dead parent. You can't dig them up, or that estranged parent, or that estranged ex, or that estranged boss, or whatever. You don't have to go back to them and say, look, I'm sorry about something. You can do that in meditation. But as long as you own it, as long as you acknowledge that, yes, I had this impact, this is a process that you're going through, that you've got to work on inside your own consciousness. So it's a process whereby you are, first of all, recognizing the impact, and then secondly, acknowledging that, yes, I had that impact. Now, this is all to yourself. This is self-forgiveness that we're talking about here. And not digging up that primary school friend that you poked in the eye or whatever, or going and digging up that ex-lover when you were in your adolescent stage, and you had a bad big blow-up between the two of you, and you felt very guilty because they caught you with the hand in the cookie jar or whatever. Anyway, there's a lot of things that go on in your life, and to own that, to acknowledge that and say, yes, I had that impact. This is inside yourself. Yes, I had that impact. Don't try to blame others. Don't try to blame mum or dad because they didn't bring you up the right way, or they separated, or in some other way created impact upon you, or to dig up that ex-boss and and blame it all on them. You had impact. Some of it was negative. Acknowledge that and own that, and then you're ready to move on to the next and third step of forgiveness, and that's forgiveness. So what is there to forgive? You forgive yourself inside your own state of meditation. That's why meditation is such a wonderful science to learn, because you can then go inside of yourself and do all sorts of things in the subconscious mind. Through the science of meditation, you can have all sorts of impact in the subconscious mind about attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings that you have. And this energy that's inside of yourself, this guilt or this fear of exposure or this shame or this anger or this low self-esteem or this self-pity or this self-punishment or self-sabotage. We've all got all of these things there, not to mention our addictions to our alcohol and our drugs and sex and overdoing it with food and not looking after ourselves with health-wise and exercise-wise and diet-wise and so forth. Not only do we knock out our bodies and knock around our bodies, but we knock around our emotions and we knock around our mind, because our thinking processes are, wow, this is having a big impact upon me, this guilt, this fear and shame and so forth. So everybody's got all of these parts of themselves, and once you have acknowledged it and owned it, then you can move on to the forgiveness stage, and it's all an internal forgiveness in a state of meditation or just reflection with your eyes closed. You've got the capabilities, you're intelligent enough to be able to close your eyes and introspect about what's going on inside of yourself and what it is that you have to forgive. So you just simply, how do you forgive? Well, this is what you're doing. You're first of all saying, yes, there is that problem. I caused that problem, and now I forgive myself for that. It's as simple as that. Sincerity is the thing that makes it a forgiving resonance. So love and compassion and understanding, and as you grow and reach and stretch to become more of who you really are, so you become more compassionate and more forgiving. And so you can start to forgive yourself now for the impact that you've had in the past. You do that inside of yourself. You just simply say, I forgive myself. I forgive myself for that impact that I had, which was negative, and I own that, and I acknowledge that. Understanding, and having compassion for yourself. This is self-forgiveness we're talking about here. To have compassion for yourself. So you forgive yourself, and then you can move on to the fourth step, which is to change. To be able to say that this is not going to happen again, and that this is something that I'm working on to control this anger or to control this shame, and bring it into the open of your own conscious mind instead of stuffing it in the memory banks that you didn't want to drag up. So you do it all in meditation, and you just simply say that I'm going to be changing, and I'm going to be making different decisions and choices because I'll have better raw materials to work with. The way that we all live our lives is through the planets moving through our houses and activating and impelling us in certain directions. And if the power of the mind is going to those negative emotions, then they're pumping up and gathering the energy from the planets as the planets move through the houses and move into aspect with the planets in your horoscope. It's all a spiritual classroom. So it's time for you to understand that you're in a spiritual classroom. You might as well excel. And when you excel, you can have abundance and happiness and joy and wonder and magic and miracles. So yes, it's time to forgive yourself. It's time to acknowledge and to own those things that you've discovered and isolated in your own consciousness that you felt were the ugly parts of yourself. So you acknowledge it, you own it, you forgive yourself in meditation, and then you change. So they're the 4 steps of forgiving yourself. Now, it not only expands your finances and improves your health and gives you a longer life, living in these higher attributes of yourself, your values and your principles, and working towards developing character. Character is the frequency with which you adhere to your principles. So principles of integrity and trust and honesty and commitment and responsibility and budgeting wisely, building up your self-esteem, falling in love with yourself. That's the task at hand, is falling in love with yourself. And then realizing that you as a self are more than what you perceive at the moment. This is the task at hand, is that we all go through the infancy stage, and we all go through the child stage, and we all go through the adolescent stage, and then we go into our young adulthood, and then between, say, 30 and 50, we're all working towards becoming a spiritual adult. We're asking questions about the whys and the wherefores. There must be more to life. There's got to be more to life than just this money and this job and this home environment and these relatives and neighbours and these children and this social activity and the addictions to our various things that we enjoy in our social activities. And we're all on a journey. It's an incredible journey, and it's a journey to bring you home, to become a co-creating partner with your higher self, and to become a co-creating partner with God, Goddess, all that is, who love you and know your name. And you've lived hundreds of lifetimes. Sometimes you might have only died when you were 1 year old or something. But you had hundreds of lifetimes, hundreds of experiences. You're in a spiritual classroom. It's time to start perceiving things that way. Surely that must be what the main focus of everybody's attention is, to be on the consciousness building and the consciousness expanding and the transformation and change of attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings that sponsor more productive decisions and choices based on more integrity and value and principles of trust and understanding and will and determination. Look, there's just so much there to learn. You can come through my intensive number 1, 12 CDs, free of charge. All you have to do is to have your horoscope done by me, and then I send you a dozen CDs that you can listen to, and I'll take you in and out of meditation time and time again, and to help you to understand that you are a beautiful person. You are a beautiful person, you're a loving person, and you are a spiritual person. And it's time now to realise that you are on a path of consciousness expansion. You are on a path of consciousness expansion, and you do that through the development of these higher principles and values of honesty and integrity and trust and willpower and self-control and so forth. No one said it was going to be easy for you. God and Goddess didn't make you a promise that you can come here and be perfect in 1 day or 1 lifetime or 10 lifetimes. You can have as many as you like to work towards becoming more of who you really are. But one thing is for certain, is that you are on a path of consciousness expansion, and you do that through living by your values and your principles, developing character and expressing character, and by who, not what you do, but who you are. You are purity, and you are love, and you are compassion, and you are wisdom, and you are understanding, and you are tolerant, and you are forgiving, and you do have empathy, and you have high self-esteem and a good image of yourself, and you feel good about yourself. And then you start expanding your understanding to learn about what's going on here. It's a spiritual classroom, and I'm in it, and I don't even know that I'm in it. It's time that I started becoming aware of the fact that I'm in a spiritual classroom. And we're all here to learn and to grow and to reach and to stretch, to become more of who we really are, more of our higher self. Because as we become more of our higher self, so it becomes more of God, Goddess, all that is. And they're both waiting to be in a partnership with you, so that they can help you to become more of who you really are, purify yourself and transform yourself, forgive yourself for all those negatives of the past. First of all, you've got to acknowledge and you've got to own. Acknowledge that they're there and that you had those impact. Own the impact, and then forgive yourself. Simple as anything, but it's got to be genuine. And then you change. And then you start working on the insides of yourself. Now that you've forgiven yourself, now that you're off the hook, and you can start to love yourself, there's something very lovable about you. There's something very beautiful about you. There's something very wonderful and remarkable and magnificent about you that you won't allow to unfold. It's time to unfold the beauty and the wonder of you. It's time to really get serious about my intensives. Get stuck into them and hear what I've got to say to you. And I'll guide you through understanding about meditation and how it all works, and take you in and out of meditations time and time again. And I'll teach you all about astrology and how it all functions on the spiritual levels. And I'll tell you how it all functions in life, the events of your life, and what sort of energies that you're dealing with here in this human level. God and Goddess never told you it was going to be easy. And I'm not telling you it's easy, because we're stubborn buggers. We're stubborn buggers, and we don't want to make changes inside of ourselves. We want to hang on to the past, we want to hang on to blame, and we want to hang on to our fears and our anxieties and our depressions and our worries. Why? Because it's the easy route. It's the easy route. It doesn't require willpower, determination, courage, strength, tenacity, purpose, direction, self-control, high self-esteem, good self-image, proud of yourself. That's when you can really love yourself. And then when you start loving yourself, you can start letting love in from another. It was never about having another come into your life to make you a whole person. You first of all must become whole, and then have somebody that you can share that wholeness with. Not to have somebody who can make you whole. You can make yourself whole. And you can learn to love yourself and fall deeply in love with yourself, because there's more about you that you don't know. And there's more about you that's very lovable. There's a wonder and a beauty and a magnificence of you that's waiting to come out. And over the next 20, 25 years, there's going to be a massive transformation in the consciousness of humanity. And you are a map maker. And you make the maps for others to follow. Now, you don't make the maps unless you're in there experiencing what you're making maps about. So naturally you came into life so that you could experience the frustration and the deception and the lies and the fear and the anxiety and the doubt and the insecurity and the low self-esteem and the deception and the depression and the worries and the anxiety. Look, all of us are going through that because we're map makers. We need to know what it's like before we can make a way out of it. We've got to be trapped in the forest before we can find a path out of the place. And so we trap ourselves in that forest, and all of those fears, we take them all on. Nothing wrong with that. That's human. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not be perfect. So it's time for us all to learn to love ourselves. And we do that through forgiveness. The 4 stages of forgiveness: to identify, to acknowledge, that is to own, to forgive ourselves, and to change. And we can forgive others in our life who've done the wrong thing by us by simply going into meditation. You don't have to go up and dig up that ex. You don't have to go and talk to that estranged parent or that estranged child or whatever. You don't have to. You do it inside your meditation and you forgive them for the negative impact that they had upon you in your meditation. That's what meditation is all about. And it changes you. It changes you because it changes the direction of your thinking patterns. And you're starting to think more about the spiritual side of your life. And you're starting to feel more about the qualities and the principles and the values that you want to live by. But it's okay to have slipbacks. It's okay to be a drug addict. It's okay to be an alcoholic. It's okay to have secret relationships. It's okay to have a lack of control over finances. It's okay to have a lack of control over your diet. It's okay to be lazy. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not keep yourself healthy. It's okay to make mistakes. Don't fall into the trap of saying, I have to be perfect overnight. It takes time. It takes time, but God and Goddess are there to help you through the process. You might as well become more aware of your relationship with God and Goddess because you have a relationship with them. If it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be in life. You wouldn't have that energy from the planets and from the sun and from the earth itself going through your chakras that gives you your consciousness. That's life. And so you have a living, loving relationship with God, Goddess already. All that God, Goddess, all that is. It's time to have it more conscious, to be more conscious of it, and to develop the understanding of how it all functions and what sort of a relationship that you have with God and Goddess. They don't want to be your master, and they don't want to look down upon you and judge you. They never do that. You judge yourself even after death. So it's all to do with you, of what you want to be, what you want to become, what you want to grow and reach and stretch into becoming. And that's the path that we're all on. So look, have your horoscope done by me. Then I can tell you things about yourself. And even though you might have seen the video already of your horoscope, still have your horoscope done. Submit your birth details through my website. I'll do your horoscope and I'll send you the links to 12 CDs out of my first book, What Really Matters. And then you will be able to learn from those CDs, 12 CDs, all about self-esteem and self-love and how the thought forms all function and how they work and what you're dealing with there in all of these negative energies that are inside of yourself. That's perceiving life from a spiritual point of view. That's the task at hand. That's got to be the task at hand. That's got to be the task at hand, because God and Goddess are there waiting to be our friend, not our boss, not our controller, not our manipulator, our friend, to help us to learn to program and to be able to co-create all of the events and conditions of your life according to your will, according to your conscious choice, not subconscious choice as it is now, through your negative attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings. So it's all right to not be perfect. It's all right to need time to grow and reach and stretch to become more of who you are. It's okay to make mistakes. That's human. That's natural. You can acknowledge and own those negativities in the past. Don't try to cover them up, because you're only going to create cancers and tumours and all sorts of negativities, arthritis and lumbago and this one and that one. And I could go on and on with the negativities there in the health department. So all of us are growing and reaching and stretching, and it's time to love yourself, and you do that through forgiving yourself. The 4 steps of identifying, acknowledging and owning, and forgiving and changing. And that way you are becoming more of the giant that you truly are, and more magnificent and more loving and more compassionate and more tolerant and more forgiving and more sympathetic. And then you'll learn how to meditate properly and create all the events of conditions so that your finances will be better, your communications with your relatives and neighbours will be more loving, your home environment will be a place that you're anxious to get home to, and a place of love and sharing and giving and caring. Your relationships will be full of love and seeing other people as souls, not as bodies or to be used. And we're all there experiencing the entertainment and amusement side of life, and many addictions involved there. And then there's health and keeping ourselves healthy, and there's the job and the commitment there, and the values and principles, but potential for conflicts and everything too. Look, we all go through the same project of punishing ourselves and sabotaging ourselves. It's time to own our negativities, to forgive ourselves, to make the changes, to become more of who you really are, to transform your attitudes and beliefs and your thoughts and your feelings so that they prompt better decisions and wiser decisions and choices, and create a better lot of finances and a better lot of health and a better happiness in relationships, and more trust and more giving and caring and sharing, and learning more about who you really are. Who you really are. You are a spiritual being. You are a soul, a triplicity of abstract mind or higher mind, and intuition and spiritual will. The will to be spiritual, and the will to become closer to God and Goddess, and to have a partnership with your higher self. He or she is the one who has brought you into life hundreds and hundreds of times and seen you through all the battles and all the sword fights and all the stabbings and all the killings and all the deception and the lies and all the negative ego and so forth. I'm just in love with being able to share all this stuff with you. And there's just so much there that everybody's learning. Even God and Goddess are becoming more of who they really are in ways that we can't comprehend. But they never stay still or stagnate. That's the only thing that's constant in the universe is change. So it's time to change into the beautiful you and the loving you and the forgiving you and the sympathetic you and the tolerant you and the reliable you and the trustworthy you and the committed you and the compassionate you. That individual is inside of you. It's like a sculpting. in our life. We are sculpting all the time the tools that we have, the attitudes and beliefs, the thoughts and the feelings. We're sculpting them and working with them and transforming them and changing them. And the beauty about it is that every time we fub up, every time we make a mistake in the argument or the conflict or the deception or the lies or the low self-esteem or whatever, when we start hanging in at that lower area of attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings, then we have the impact of the negative events. Because don't think that the events are all just happening out of chance. They all happen according to the energies that are going through your emotions and your thoughts. So you are changing, you are growing, you are reaching, you are stretching, you are understanding more of what the spiritual path entails. And it's a beautiful path that all of us are on. It's a path that leads to a partnership, a living, loving, breathing relationship, a partnership with God, Goddess, all that is. The most intelligent, the most compassionate, the most loving, the most understanding being in the whole of universe of universes. Isn't it better to have a partnership with the most powerful one instead of the weak ones? So you can be powerful, you can resonate out there into the world of human living and thinking. Your changes, your willpower, your self-control, your ambition, your desire to become more of who you really are is a will that radiates out there into the world and has impact upon other people that you will never meet, other people all over the world who will never meet you. They don't say, oh, this came from Joe, or this came from Bob, or this came from Mary, or this came from Carla, or this one came from Sally, or whatever. No, they don't recognise where that inspiration comes from, but it can come from inside of you. That's what a map maker is all about. Anyway, I've been talking too long here, and it's nice to have the opportunity to share with you and to love with you and to expand our consciousness together about the wonderful things that God and Goddess have got in store for all of us. As long as we're prepared to transform ourselves, not imposed upon us by God and Goddess. They allow us to make mistakes, but we learn from our mistakes through the negative events and negative impacts that happen in our life, and the unhappiness and the sorrow and the fears and the anxieties. So I talk too long. We'll carry on in the next video. Be sure to subscribe to my videos so that you get every new one that comes out. I'll be making another 20 or so in 2013 and more in 2014. So there's so much there that I've developed understanding about, and I want to share that understanding and share it freely so that you can become more of the giant that you truly are. So enough out of me. Subscribe to my videos, get your horoscope done. I'll send you a bundle of goodies, and then you can read extracts out of my book as well. I'll send you chapters, printed chapters, and you can then grow and reach and stretch and become more of the giant that you truly are. I had to get that little end bit in. And God and Goddess love you and know your name, and they want to be your friend, they want to be your partner, they want to co-create with you and help you to become more of the giant that you truly are, because they're experiencing life that we can't understand. They're experiencing love that we can't understand. And they can understand it, and because they understand it, they have understanding brings responsibility with it, and responsibility means sharing that knowledge, that understanding with other people. So that's the task at hand, and that's why I enjoy what I do, because it brings me closer to God and Goddess, brings me closer to my higher self. And you can do the same. You can do the same through the sculpture of your life and the transformation and change of the attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings and sponsoring better decisions and choices. Identify the problems, own them, acknowledge them, forgive yourself. It's okay to make mistakes. We don't have to be perfect. And change and aspire to become more of who you really are through an intake of knowledge. You've had the experiences, a lot of them not very nice, and now it's time to get the wisdom developed through the intake of knowledge to become the giant that you truly are. I thank you for your attentiveness, and I look forward to getting your horoscope order and the feedback from the CDs and so forth, all backed with beautiful mystical music, and to give you self-esteem and better self-image, and learn about how astrology works and learn about how reincarnation functions. It's a language that you can understand. It's not, I don't tie it up in terminology that you can't understand. It's designed for you to be able to understand. And deeper and deeper through intensives 2 and 3 to learn about the deeper aspects of what's going on spiritually on the planet and in the universe. There's more going on than meets the eye. So it's time for you to understand it's a new age, and you can be forgiven and you can forgive yourself. And God and Goddess love you and know your name. So get your horoscope done, subscribe to the videos, and have a good time with my intensives and go as far as you want to go. I've put the responsibility back on you. It's you who now must choose to change. And that's the final part of forgiving yourself. So thanks for the time together, and I look forward to sharing with you on the next video. Thank you.